Welcome to this week's episode of Being Human. I'm here with Jack Parsons, Jack Longhair Parsons, who is the founder of the youth group. He's the UK's chief youth officer. Jack, welcome to the show.
Thank you, and thanks for having me on. And as you said, Longhair Jack Parsons, I've not had a haircut in 7-8 months, and it's now in front of my eyes, literally, when I don't put it behind my ears. So the first thing I'm going to do once the pandemic is over is go and get an haircut.
You're telling me, go get a haircut and go to a restaurant. That was the other thing you told me before we came on, right?
Yeah, those two things, restaurant, haircut. And I think I'll book the day off just to do those two things.
Nice one. Okay. So yeah, come on, give us the backstory to the youth group and how you find yourself as with the title of UK's chief youth officer, which I love.
So I'm a very values, principle-led person. What you see is what you get. And I don't try and be something I'm not. And this all sprung from my upbringing. My mum was an alcoholic. We lived in a council estate. She was she had mental health challenges. And I become the grown-up at a very young age. At the age of 5, I was negotiating the phone bill so they didn't cut it off because she spent the money down the pub and buy everyone around in the pub with a gyro check. School was a place for me to go and fit in, but young people are so smart, they understand the odd one out. And I was bullied until year 9. And the only reason the bullying stopped is because I was old enough to take out paper rounds, which funded my judo lessons. And when you're sinking, you learn to swim. And I learned to swim very quickly. And from there, mum got really ill, moved in with my dad, old school black cab driver. And he just led with principle. He said, look, you make your bed every morning, you get up, you apply for jobs once you leave school, and I'll help you. You can live under my roof, but I want to see a list of 30 numbers, emails a day that you've reached out to. He just really kind of drive into me, get up and go. And that is where it all started. I got myself an apprenticeship, paying £2.50 an hour, but I loved going in because I was surrounding myself with diversity of thought, older individuals around me. And I just was so happy to be there and be given the opportunity. That led into moving into recruitment and education recruitment and placing teachers into jobs up to principal level. Then I paused after a couple of years of working for that organisation and could start seeing different mismatches between education, young people and employers. And everyone tried their part. And this is about lifting people up. But everyone tries their part. But there was a big gap and no one talking to each other. So I went on to set up my first venture, a technology platform, which helped over 100,000 council kids get into work, some shape of work. We grew that to millions of quid. It weren't just me. I had a team. I had a lot of investment in that organisation, and we made a difference. And it came to a time where that organisation paused. We had some investors in the business that wanted to own the algorithms and the machine learning. So they took that, and I was asked to leave the company and asked booted out of my own business because I'm trying to be the saint to actually help these council kids just like me. And investors want to turn me into a book deal. And that's not what I'm about. I'm about the young people. And if the book deal will help young people, then I'll do it. But if it doesn't, then why do it? Then I set up the youth group. And the youth group has just been on a whole transformation. It's my learnings that, for instance, I'm a lot kinder leader. I believe in kindness. I believe in doing the right thing. And we're here now with the youth group. We've got a community of 1.7 million young people. We've got over 90,000 young people who flip their duvets, get out of bed and get into work or a mentorship or training. I have a team of 55 employees and an extended team of 155. Do I have all the answers? Definitely not, but I definitely have all the questions.
Right. Okay. What questions have you got right now? Like, what's top of mind for you at the moment?
So top of mind for me at the moment in terms of questions is how do we actually get more companies to embrace kindness? And everyone on the forefront says, you know what, we're a kind organisation, but are you really? Like here at the youth group, we've never, and I'm not saying we're perfect, we're not. If you're perfect, what's the point? But we've got a work work 4 days a week. You work with, not for. Anyone can approach me. I lead from lead from the back, and it's all about actually having a safe space. Right now, young people, actually anyone at any generation, in terms of the pandemic, a lot of young people are lacking safe spaces, whether that's their environment at home, whether that's they're unemployed, whether that's the space in their mind that's not shared, that is not being good to them because of their mental health challenges. We need more safe spaces, and we need to be kinder, like New Zealand. New Zealand's a really kind country.
What is it you like about New Zealand?
So, New Zealand, I was approached, or approached and asked, kind of told to meet the New Zealand government. And I went and met the New Zealand government. They came over to the UK, and I just fell in love with the individual that I met. She was just an amazing woman, in a passion for young people, very experienced. We sat there and she said, look, I want you to come and share that love and share what you do for youth over in New Zealand. And I was just like, it's going to happen. Yeah, they all say that, government, it's going to happen, but yeah, maybe it won't happen for the next couple of years. We know how sometimes governments can move so slow. She went back to New Zealand, and within 4 weeks, an agreement was signed that I was flying out there in 3 months. And I went out to New Zealand, and I met Maori community, disadvantaged young people, advantaged young people, businesses, big businesses, small businesses, ministers. And it was just so lovely to see that actually they're doing their best, and they do it with kindness. And the problems here in the UK are not so different to the problems over there. And I got on the plane after my 2-week kind of under the radar tour of the country, and I got a message saying we would love to make you an international special advisor to the New Zealand government. And that was 2 years ago. And then from there, it spiraled out. I've been over to New Zealand twice since. The second time wasn't under the radar. It was really public. It was like a mini state visit to really try and support young people from disadvantaged backgrounds to get ahead. And I don't know if everything went wrong here in the UK, I'm moving to New Zealand. And if you'd asked me that 2 years ago, I'd be like, New Zealand, where's that?
Yeah, I went to New Zealand when I was a kid. I remember. Did you get to the Firefly caves?
No, I didn't. I didn't. The funny thing is, I didn't get to tour the country. I had several government officials around me at all times, trying to lead me into every single room, from Microsoft, HP, the warehouse, one of their biggest stores. It was literally 40, 50 engagements a day, shaking hands left, right, and centre. Sometimes I didn't know what was going on, but I didn't get to see actually an holiday when I was there. I got to see all the people, but no holiday. But what a lovely country.
Right. And so kindness is obviously a big theme for you. So, I suppose, what does kindness look like to you then? In your day to day, what do you see as kindness?
Look, I'm a big believer that people and if that's okay, and more awareness is great, but people like to jump on trends, and kindness is a cool thing to say that you're doing at the moment. But actually, you have to be kind when no one's looking. You have to be kind to those around you. You have to be kind to your environment, and you have to be kind to yourself. Kindness comes from within. And if you're not being kind to yourself and you're getting enough rest, going for walks, making sure that you're not picking up that second donut. I lost 4 stone in the period of 90 days. It's been 120 now, but 90 days I lost a period of 4 stone because I started to be kind to myself. So I think kindness is doing something not because it's cool, but because it's the right thing. We don't know what it takes for someone to get out of bed in the morning. Before this call, you and I were talking about your little ones and how they had a good night's sleep, and you woke up. Yeah, they slept through the night. That's brilliant. And that's the thing. You don't know what it's taken. Have they had a good night? Have they had a bad night? You never judge anyone. Be kind. Do it when no one's looking, and ask for nothing in return. That is what kindness is to me.
Right. And you've got and I suppose then I'm just sort of joining the dots here. Is it right then for you, one of the kind things that businesses can do is proactively reach out to disadvantaged people, and especially young people, and give them a chance? Is that like one of the appeals you're making to companies, in terms of kindness?
So yeah, I believe what companies can do to be kind is do something authentically. And I believe that every young person has talent. I'm not naive. I'm a realist. There are some young people we need to boot off the couch and get them up and find their duvet flip. So I'm not saying that every young person is a superstar, but every young person can become a superstar in something. Now, they're not all going to be dancers. They're not all going to be great at coding. They're not all going to be good at selling or public speaking or being a podcast host like yourself. But they're going to have something where they fit in. And I'm a big believer in actually we have a role to play, we, the ecosystem, to be kind, to give that opportunity. But we also have to level the playing field when it comes to young Black people, when it comes to disabled, returners to work, single mums. The amount of single mums that I speak to have come to me at the age of 22 that have got 2 kids that have been affected and now can't do the job, go and do their cleaning job because they've got no one to look after their kids and the children. I believe that everyone has a space and companies need to actually start looking at diversity of thought in a meaningful way.
Right.
However, we must leave no one behind. That doesn't mean take on a disabled, disadvantaged young person over the young, bright grad. What it means is make space for both.
Right. And what are some examples then of individuals you've come across who are really walking their talk on that, or that inspire you? Like, who in your orbit?
Yeah, look, we've partnered with about 700 organisations. 2 companies at the moment that are really leading the way, and I'm a big advocate. Before I wasn't, and they know I wasn't. I really looked at their organisation and I said, "Your organisation is old, stuffy, and I'm not too sure young people really would ever work here, and I wouldn't." And they said, "Let me take you on a journey and help us come on a journey." And the famous saying is, when you're too close to the elephant, all you can see is grey. So sometimes that's stepping away from the elephant to see all perspectives. So we both stepped away from that elephant for a moment. And I've been so impressed with this organisation, Capita. You know me, I wear my heart on my sleeve if I say it as it is. Capita has really led from the front when it comes to young people. In partnership with the youth group, they've gone and hired 100 young unemployed people in the last 90 days. It's been absolutely fantastic. We've also put a program. We've had over 750 young people apply for those 100 vacancies, and every single one of them are being connected with one of our mentors, so no one's left behind. And then career support, confidence support, well-being support. And I just think that is amazing. Now, taking that model and scaling it up with all businesses, you start getting a really nice dent. It's not going to change the world, but it starts to dent in terms of making a difference. Another organisation, we've just partnered with Pret, and Pret are really, really putting their hands up and saying, help us become a youth-first organisation. Help our stores, help our HQ, help us understand youth. And they're doing it, coming into it, not as we are Pret, you have to listen to us, but you are the youth group, we have to listen to you and what the youth are thinking. And I think those 2 organisations, and there's loads more, There's loads more getting it right who are working with us, but also who are not working with us. But there's also a lot more organisations that are not. So there are two organisations, Capital Threat as an example, that are really walking the talk, walking the walk, as you say.
Yeah. And it sounds like a few things are coming out there then. So there's something about giving people safe space, giving them mentorship. Like how else does it manifest, this kindness?
Look, everything's a snowball effect. I believe you do one action, it takes you down different paths. Some are good, some are bad. And but you have to lay in the bed. You have to make your bed you lay in, they say. And I'm a big believer that actually that young person who's gone and joined Atherton, IBM, PwC, or the small startup, that starts changing the ecosystem around them. They've got a cousin who's about to leave education, who doesn't have a support network. They become the expert, the first member of the family that's who's working at the moment, or the first member of the family who's who's gone through an interview process. So I think everything's a snowball effect, and actually the impact it has to be grassroots, and it has to be micro households. We make mistakes yes, big grand numbers are great, and we need to make a difference to a lot of people. But actually, sometimes it's about breaking each one of those layers down and looking at young Abdul, who has just got a job, whose now family will be impacted for the better.
Yeah. And well, this point about mental health is something that is big, right, on your agenda, and we've just mentioned safe spaces. Like, what else do you see as being good examples of companies acting in this space and helping, I suppose, especially youth with mental health stuff?
Mental health, companies are starting to put mental health around the table, the conversation. And I love that, because the more we talk about it, the more can happen. Do I believe that companies have got mental health solved? Absolutely not. It's still one of those open, closed conversations, and there needs to be more talk. There needs to be more action. The percentage, I think it works at 22 quid. Not a lot of money at all, each employee for their wellness and well-being. 22 quid is 1 month's membership. It's not a lot. It's a healthy breakfast at Pret, or it's not a lot of money being invested in someone's well-being. But if that young person or that employee's mind is not right, you're losing thousands. So I think there needs to be a re-education in terms of what you invest in is what you get out. Or we need to spend, I go into organisations and say, oh, we're spending 22 quid on mental health and wellness.
Is that per month or per year? Just that?
That's per year.
Per year, right. Yeah.
That is not, you're not spending anything. You're investing. You're investing it. But £22 investment into someone's mind for them to work and earn you more money is not a blood enough. It's not enough. So do I have a magic wand around mental health? No. Am I an expert? No. But is there expert solutions and minds that could come together? Absolutely. I would challenge anyone who's sitting on furlough right now. Sorry if you are. We're getting through this. But if you're on furlough, go and find another 50 people on furlough. There's up to 9.5 million. I think it's gone up to 10 million people on furlough in the UK. Let's get a mental health solution that actually helps, because mental health is the real pandemic coming.
Right. Well, exactly. Especially with kids, right? There's some research coming out on that that's hitting kids especially.
32% of young people we surveyed, it was around 9 weeks ago, feel overwhelmed and have had suicidal thoughts come up in their mind in the last 30 days. 57% of young people don't believe the government are doing or taking mental health seriously.
Right.
So, and look, and this is not pointing fingers. I hate people that point the fingers at government. And
I was going to say, government's just one part of the puzzle.
It's part of it. It's part of the puzzle. You have to lift them up with what they've done around the furlough and stuff. But we have to give them solutions, not just problems. And I'm a big believer in that. And I don't have the solution for mental health. I'd probably be Bezos if I did. But yet again, is the solution for mental health meant to be commercial? But then how you make it sustainable? So there's all these questions. Like I said earlier, I go from having all the answers to all the questions. And I just believe that there is some really smart people across the UK that could get their heads together and create something that will blow us all in mind and actually make a dent to support people's mental health. What does that look like? I don't know.
Right. But I suppose what part of your mission right now is to, and I see you on social media, it's raising up the agenda, right, and making noise about it. And those survey stats are mind blowing, right? I mean,
so in 2020, a lot of individuals had bad years. They lost their jobs, they lost family members, and it was tough for everyone. And I was lucky enough to, because it was virtual, I'm a paid public speaker. I'm very transparent about it. And because I didn't have to fly across the world, I could get I was doing free public speeches a day. So I actually earned an extra £50,000 in public speaking than what I shouldn't have earned if the pandemic was here. So the pandemic actually helped me. I gained. So I decided that I would take that £50,000 and I would pay for 10 people's mental health therapy sessions. And I put that out online, and I wanted it to be for everyone, not just young people. And for about 2 days, I just couldn't stop tearing up and crying. I had over 15,000 people request for mental health support. The messages were overwhelming, sad, and it made me very anxious that I had to step away from it for a moment. And that just showed that the real pandemic, and there is a pandemic and there's a real pandemic. I'm not saying that coronavirus is fake. I believe it's real. But there's going to be an after effect which is really going to affect people. And I mean the stories. It takes you, I like to speak a lot, and I didn't speak for a few days because of it. And I can only help 10 people get those sessions for a year.
Man. We'll talk about you walking your talk, right? You take that 50 grand and you give it to people for therapy. I mean, wow, good on you.
Thank you.
It's quite humbling. I'm like, yeah. No, it's I mean, we've had people talk on the show about this idea of all professionals. So Daniela Seif, who's written a lot on trauma and in childhood, and talks about this idea that all of our professionals should be to some degree trauma aware. They should be aware of what's going on for people under the surface, and even like a basic like first aid level, be able to offer some level of support. Teachers, policemen, social workers. I'd take it even further, like anybody in a professional capacity. If we were all to have some level of basic understanding of like what's going on for people under the surface and could help people, it would make a huge difference. Like I don't have solutions either, but that's one idea.
That's your question. Yes. How do we? And I think emotional intelligence plays a big part in kindness and leadership and being human.
Yeah.
Because actually, if you don't really understand, and look, don't try and understand everything in someone's life, because you're not, if you've not experienced it yourself, but actually acknowledge it and actually appreciate. And I think there's a lot that don't. And there's a lot, for instance, the building I live in, it overlooks the river in Westminster. People, I don't have one, but people are pulling up in Rolls Royces with their drivers. And I live in the same building as David Hay, the boxer, and Lily Allen. And it's great. And it's got everything it needs. But sometimes you go out and you realise that actually across the road is someone who is homeless and someone who needs a bit of love or don't have the family. And to be honest, I never had a great upbringing in terms of my family. I would give up everything I've done, even though it supported a lot of youth, just for some love from my family. So sometimes we don't appreciate the small things that we actually have. And does it all matter at the end of the day? Does it really matter? Half of the things. If it doesn't matter in 5 years, don't spend 5 minutes on it.
Right. Yeah.
And that just gets me thinking around what can we do to give self-help to those to be kinder, more self-aware, build confidence, and manage and look after their own mental health as well. So
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of, I think about impact and scalability that comes with a common outcome, but one or the other doesn't jeopardize itself. Like
Right.
a lot of investors, we don't have any investors. Investors are good for certain things. I don't believe in this approach to have investors put into an entity that's helping you in a meaningful way. So you've got to balance it. I understand that, but right now that's not right. And they go to me, "Oh, Jack, look, we'll give you 2 million. Go and build a technology platform. Stick them all into a platform." And I go, "What do you mean stick them? Stick what? They're humans.
Right.
They all get up in the morning. One likes coffee. One hates coffee. One wants to be an engineer. The other one wants to be a podcast coach. I'm not sticking them anywhere." And it's coming up with a balance of being human and enabling technology to scale what you're doing without losing being human.
Yeah. 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 No, I mean, these are great questions to grapple with. And it's so true that especially when, the technocrats, get involved, it's all about scale, right? It's all about how can we build something quick. And herd them in so that we can offer them service. All of that. I do. Yeah. Well, I think it's society at large has a problem with that. We atomize individuals right now in the way that we look at them as customers, in the way that we look at them as citizens, right? We lose that.
I had a specialist, a data specialist, look at, or he was a data investor, look at our data. He was interested, and I said, "Okay, if you want to look, you can look. You've got to sign into NDAs and that, and you have to do it in front of me. I'm not just going to give you access to our youth data, but if you want to come and look at it, you can see how it's structured." And he looked at the data, and he said, "Your data's fucked." Sorry, my language. And I said, "What do you mean our data's fucked?" He said, "Oh, you're asking. You've got data on everything. You've got data on how the young person feels." I said, "Yes, we have, because we're there to help them. And we have a community of 1.7 million young people, and that's over 25 million data points." And I didn't get it, because he was saying, because we found out that the young person is in a single household and the mum doesn't work, that our data's fucked. In anything, I think that builds a nice profile on each individual who's given us the permission with that data, by the way, with GDPR, to build out on what the barriers are. So we don't focus on age, we focus on stage. You've got an 18-year-old who is in a single parent household, lacking confidence, doesn't want to get out of bed, but wants to work. You've also got a 29-year-old who's in a single parent household, is a carer, doesn't want to get out of bed, but wants to work. We put those two into the same bubble, because the stage they're trying to get over is confidence building. And when you do it like that, you're speaking to humans. You can say to a young person, here's Tesco, go and create a chicken curry. If they don't know what ingredients goes into a chicken curry, you're going to come out with probably a shepherd's pie. So you have to give the helping hand on, okay, here's the naan, here's the rice. And I'm using that as an analogy in terms of the careers and mental health and kindness and how to be a human and a citizen, a good citizen, a global citizen that gives, earns, works, volunteers, and creates.
Yeah. No. Yeah. You're making such an important point about individual, and I see it a lot. I mean, I work with a lot of businesses, but this tendency towards reducing people to like a few key pieces of information and not looking at them in the round, that bigger. I mean, I visualize like a mind map. In fact, I sometimes do that with teams, like, right, build a map of your life, right, around that individual and share it with the other people in your team. Like, start there in terms of building connection with other human beings and the totality of their experience of life, right? You're making such an important point there. And you can't do that in like 3 boxes on a screen in the computer easily, right? Or, yeah.
We have to be real. It has to be authentic. And yes, that investor may be right. If we wanted to scale to 20 million, 40 million youth, we'll get there. It might take longer, but Rome wasn't built on a day.
Yeah.
But Rome's not fell down yet because it's been built on foundation and real.
Yeah. Realness. I think that's, yeah. And what you said about this data guy saying, you've got information about how people feel. I think that is a really important part of mental health. Like, just encouraging people to name what they're feeling. Like, what are you feeling? Where are you feeling it in the body? Just that in alone can be an enormous, like, certainly has been in my life, like, first step towards getting hold of where I'm at on my own mental health, like making that more the day-to-day lexicon, you know, in our lives in general.
I agree. And then the data is within one button. I could get 10,000 young people to sign up to a confidence course.
Right.
As long as that confidence course is free. I don't believe in payment gateways in front of courses or education for youth.
Well, hang on, but doesn't that cut across your sustainability point? Like,
yeah,
presumably the teacher's got to get paid.
Oh, so what I mean is a disadvantaged young person going online and accessing a paid course when they're unemployed and you expect them to put 500 quid down.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, for people who can't afford it,
Yeah. People that are looking for, like, I've had a number of young people come to us and saying the recruitment agency is now charging them just to look at take them on their book.
Wow.
And I said, no, that is wrong. That is not. I understand and I respect that recruiter. And I understand that recruiter got a job. But not if a young person's been unemployed more than 6 months and you're saying to them, I need 100 quid if you want us to even look at your CV. And then, then there's 400 quid for a call. And then there's 600 here. Oh, you can't afford it? Sign up to this loan. I just pause a bit and go, right, is that what we need to do? Or is that the right approach? And I understand sustainability and everyone needs to earn money. But I just think that there's give and take and there's a way to do it.
Yeah. And so presumably a lot of your funding comes from the companies, right?
Yeah. So
those with the money.
We subsidize all our stuff we do through the corporate company. And to go back to your point, teachers should be paid, and they should be paid a lot more than they currently do as well. And they should be given a lot more kudos and support than they do. A lot of teachers over the last 2 weeks and actually police officers on LinkedIn have popped up to me. And you just get to know them a little bit, and you're like, wow, there's loads and loads of micro issues everywhere that could easily be adjusted with the right time, energy, and investment.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, it's funny. Well, I was involved in a car accident, and I was chit-chatting with the policeman whilst we were waiting for the recovery vehicle to turn up, and I was asking him, like, what's the biggest thing for you right now? You're dealing with these like mental health. Number one, dealing with people with mental health problems. And yeah, that's what our police time is being used up on. It just seems crazy. Surely that doesn't feel like the right match, right? Why aren't we dealing with that in other ways?
I agree. And it's only getting worse. The mental health pandemic is getting worse. All generations, and something needs to be done. I didn't realize that we had I didn't realize that we had a mental health minister until November 20. And I've been in mental health and advocating it for a few years. Someone said to me, we have a mental health minister? And I said, no, we do. So I said, where is she? Like, where is she? Like, and I know she's busy and she's got lots going on, but where is she? Like, she should be up on that podium with the British flag saying, this is what we're doing and this is how we're doing it. And so, yeah, I think there's some things need to be. I talk about the 3 C's, and the 3 C's is start conversation, cause good chaos, and be consistent. And whatever you and chaos is another word for urgency and actually going towards something as a bulldozer with fierce and action. Everything around mental health doesn't seem like there's a urgency or a we must do this now. It's all been, and mental health is really serious. I understand the red tapes and we have to be very careful in what we do. But I just feel that there can be, like, why isn't there a department for mental health services? There might be. I've looked everywhere. I can't see one that actually has real investment put into it and actually help.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You could talk about government, but you just said businesses as well. 22 quid a year, right? Or even people in their own life, just people making the choice to make space to work on their own mental health, right? And not just sort of zone out to what they're experiencing in their life. So I think the individual, companies, government, society at large, there's a bigger role we could all be playing, I think.
I agree. I totally agree. I think we all have a role to play, and we all have a role to play today.
Yeah.
Whether you're Coca-Cola or Carol.
Carol, there we go. All right. Well, Jack, it's taken me a while to wrestle you onto this podcast, but we finally made it. I'm delighted that we did. Yeah, you've certainly inspired me, especially with that story about you taking your 50 grand and giving it out for people to do. Yeah, that's it, man. That's fierce action.
Thank you, and I've enjoyed this so much. You can see my hair. I told you it goes in front. I just want to say, look, anyone's listening, they might be yeah, I don't even earn 50 grand. How can I even do that? I don't try and compete with anyone. And actually, going to ask someone if they're okay is a lot more than the 50k that I've invested. Yeah. I've invested that 50k because I don't have time to go and ask every single person, those 10 people, if they're okay.
Yeah.
So I just want to leave with is everyone can actually do something that's worth a lot more than that 50k injection into 10 people to get therapy.
Yeah, that's such a good part. Yeah, start the conversation. Yeah, just start having those authentic, real conversations. That's a great place. Okay, and for people who want to know more, tell people where they can find you, find the youth group.
I always say at the end, everyone always says, if people want to find out more, where can they go? I believe don't come and find me. Don't look on the youth group. Actually go onto your LinkedIn, message someone and ask them how they're feeling with their mental health today. That's a lot better for me than spending 5 minutes looking at our nice Gucci website and seeing how you can get involved. And you can, but do the mental health reach out first and start the conversation.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much, Jack. It's been a pleasure. Enjoy the rest of your day. Overlooking the Thames.
Yeah, you too.
All right. Cheers.